The household name is something that many strive for, yet few achieve. It seems there's no definitive way to get there, but in 2019, it typically entails making a fool of yourself or saying something bafflingly stupid on the internet. Long before your weird viral sensations, your Numas, before the absurdist proto-memes on YTMND, being a household name was typically tied to some level of fame or success. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the peak of the Metallica-fueled Stone Cold Steve Austin hell yeahs and extreme marketing, skateboarding seemed to be at its apex. Living legend Tony Hawk pulled off the fabled 900 during overtime at the X Games, and suddenly, boom, everyone knew who this guy was. Activision was like, hey, let's get in on that, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was born. THPS could have been many different things, but the talented team at Neversoft, responsible for, at the time, these games, managed to kickstart one hell of a franchise, one that is only recently kind of dead with its latest release. We don't talk about that. Now, while skateboarding games were nothing new, the Tony Hawk formula sure was, and oh boy did it get some imitators. Pre-existing skateboarding video game franchises literally changed what they were in an attempt to nab the pro skater audience. Cause they probably shouldn't go after the Thrasher Skate and Destroy one.
By fucking
Look, you have a health bar. You have a health bar!
Oh my god!
So yo, it's Austin, and considering I'm a child of the 90s, of course I would love me some Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I don't want to talk about that today. I want to talk about probably the most obvious imitator I can think of, Grind Session. This is Grind Session. Yes, this is not a THPS game. Less than a year after the original Tony Hawk was released, a little company called Shaba Games partnered up with Sony in order to hop on the bandwagon. Yeah, the giant of the generation wanted a piece of that skating pie, and Grind Session was made. It's, okay, I guess. Tony Hawk was responsible for making the whole trick playground thing a popular and fun concept. So any imitators of that were gonna be blatant and easy to spot. Especially when, like, one of the levels, Burnside, is also there. Like, I know it's a real place, but, I mean, come on. We're not doing some weird street skater thing anymore. However, considering Grind Session was doing things the original Tony Hawk did, a lot of the mechanics are, at this point, hella dated. But if you look at this with a historical lens, Session may be just as good as the source material. Rather than collecting VHS tapes for progress, you have to earn respect points. This is actually done in a manner I really like, because rather than getting points for hitting the top goal, you get incremental points for how close you are to that goal. So like, you got your score, objects around the map you have to knock down, as well as technical gaps. And these are pretty cool. So while you're skating around, you can press a button to have these lines show up that you have to follow. There's 10 in each stage, 1 respect point for each, and they also increase your time limits in the stage. You only have 1:30, which seems short, but hey, being good at the video game actually rewards you with more time to play it. It's arcadey, like hitting a checkpoint in Cruisin' USA. The only problem is you gotta hit 10 in a single run to get the maximum points. And that's hard, especially with how old this feels. Speaking of controls, my least favorite part of Grind Session is that you have to unlock the tricks you can do. Like, you get enough respect in order to pick a trick from the list, which means that if you're used to that Tony Hawk mashing and everything doing something, you try to do a trick here and nothing comes out. It's a good thing I can cheat. I played Grind Session expecting a ripoff, and I mean, it was a little bit, but it's a competent one. Oh, also the music's good, but like, that's gonna be most of these games. Hard to mess that up. Also, you can make your own character. I mean, like barely, but still. Grind Session is one of those cases where a game was made from scratch in order to compete with an already existing product. A bit shameless, but you know, Fortnite did well enough. But how about something that changed what it was in order to compete? Let's talk about Konami. In the early 2000s, Konami got the exclusive rights to the ESPN license. That means for like 3 solid years, Konami was just shoveling sports games out. Golf, hockey, track and field. If ESPN was slightly associated with it, Konami wanted your money.
So in 2001, ESPN X Games Skateboarding was released and developed by Konami and Osaka, but this isn't what I want to talk about. The ESPN game's pretty bland. It's like split into two modes, and you got X Games and then arcade mode. Arcade's trying like the Pro Skater thing, but it has this awkward level design and a lack of interesting objectives. You got things like make 6 combos. Yeah, make 6 combos. It's one of the stiffest extreme sports games I've ever had the displeasure of touching. Keeping a long combo string going feels nearly impossible, and anything involving a vertical ramp feels like you're playing some arcade game where you sit on the board and it guides you into place. But hey, at least it has Bob Burnquist and Linkin Park singing together in harmony like an early 2000s skateboarding AMV.
But look, X Games skateboarding is just whatever. The game I want to talk about today is Skateboarding Evolution.
It took me a minute to piece this together, but these two games were actually made by the same developer, Konami Entertainment Osaka, but wait a minute. A Japanese studio made skateboarding games based on American street skateboarding? Now, in the States, it's not uncommon for certain areas to disallow skateboarding. You'll see like school campuses and downtown areas where there'll be signs saying, "No skating," which I mean, all the degenerates break anyways. I feel like that's the plot of every skateboarding movie. However, in Japan, officially, skateboarding is only allowed in designated skate parks. There's stories of foreigners getting stopped by cops for skating in public, and some even having to pay fines. People generally advise against attempting it outside of the parks over there, so when I found out that a Japanese studio made both of these games, I thought that was pretty rad. The anti-establishment scene we've seen from Japan with like Jet Set Radio is super captivating, so hey, what could Konami do with Evolution?
The answer, it might shock you. Probably not. But this might.
But I'm dummy thick.
I'm sure you notice a lack of that ESPN brand on the cover here. In April of 2002, Konami put out a PR statement saying that they were done with the license, but I guess they must have had a few games still in the works, so here we are with Skateboarding Evolution. This time we've got a selection of a few real-life skateboarders as well as a character creator. No female options though. I guess this was made before women had the right to skateboard? That must have come at a later date. Oh no, wait. At least I can put custom stickers on my skateboard. Ash squishies. But you're not here for real people, you're here for that solid Snake, the beardy Sneak Man himself. It's not just Snake though, we've also got a few variations of the Big Shell plant as a level, which is kinda cool. But it goes beyond this, there's a stupid amount of unlockable characters. Who wants to play as some dude when you've got Raiden, Simon Belmont, some random gorilla, a dude made of gold, and Frogger, hell yeah.
We've rebuilt one of the greatest video game heroes of all time, and now he's back.
All the secret characters have really high stats, so they're just more enjoyable to play in comparison. In fact, when you get started, Skateboarding Evolution feels very similar to its predecessor, X Games. Kinda clunky, and pulling off cool looking maneuvers is pretty difficult. So starting off feels like shit. Oh, but the best thing it throws at us is a bunch of boss fights. Yeah, we got boss fights in a skateboarding game, like against a tank. There's something really special about like skating around as Solid Snake while Primus is Put in Time's blasting in the background while you grind off of the barrel of a tank in order to kill it.
My ass cheeks.
It's moments like these that make Skateboarding Evolution memorable, and in that brief moment, fun. It's too bad the rest of it is, like this. I wanted to like Skateboarding Evolution so much more than I did. I think a lot of people feel that way as well, especially Konami. When Metal Gear Solid 2 was re-released as Substance on the Xbox and PC, they included the Big Plant skateboarding level on the disc, I guess in a last-minute effort to dig up interest. But it was a year too late, and also just not a good game. It's like playing Tony Hawk, except somebody put rubber cement on your controller. Also, Frogger's there.
But I want to take a step away from the board for a second, because there were a lot of games that tried to emulate the Tony Hawk style using other extreme vehicles. That's not right.
Once Activision saw the success of Tony Hawk, they essentially decided to try it with everything they could. They made a sub-brand for their publishing called Activision 02. Here, Acti would fund tons of other extreme sports games using the same engine to varied results. You had like Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder, Wakeboarding Unleashed with Sean Murray, and the most awkward of the bunch, Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer. Quite the unfortunate game. But the first of the bunch was Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. I mean, it's basically BMX Tony Hawk, even sporting some of the same levels, and Tony himself is a playable character. However, I don't want to talk about any of the Activision 02 games. They're hardly clones, considering it's just the same studios pumping out similarly reskinned games. I want to talk instead about Acclaim and a little developer called Z-Axis. Now, Z-Axis is responsible for a game we briefly mentioned earlier in the video, Thrasher, Skate, and Destroy. That came out around the same time as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but went for a different thing entirely. I mean, it's not every day you play a skateboarding game with a health bar. What a terrible idea.
The following year, Z-Axis teamed up with Acclaim and late professional biker Dave Mirra in order to release Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, but this still isn't the game I want to talk about.
Dave Mirra was relatively successful for Acclaim, leading to a sequel the following year, which also did well enough. But well enough wasn't good enough. In a conversation that I can only imagine consisting of watching a bunch of horrible movies, the third game in the Freestyle BMX trilogy was pitched as a sex comedy. Classics like American Pie, Van Wilder, Road Trip. You know what goes well with some hip-hop and nu metal influenced BMX writing? That one movie where the dude fucks the pie. Yeah, put that in.
This is BMXXXX, and you might notice someone's missing from the cover.
The late Dave Mirra was pissed. In an attempt to stir up some controversy and make a game that was channeling Jackass, BMXXXX added dirty jokes, dumb, problematic jokes, bare-ass titties, and dogs boning, among other things. It felt like the Attitude Era of wrestling was leaking out onto other mediums, which might have been really cool when it came out. I mean, shit, XXX slapped out on the store shelves when I was 12. Like, actually,
I'm 12 years old, and what is this?
It's got stwippers and boobies. Seeing all of this go down, Mirra actually sued Acclaim in order to get removed from the game as well as eliminate his name from any of the marketing. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be in this game, especially considering it was a sequel to the rather wholesome previous entries. So, how would BMXXXX do with this new direction? I'm wondering if Z-Axis forgot how to program in like a year span, because BMXXXX is no good. Like, let's put aside the racial stereotypes, dumb sex comedy, 240p videos of strippers dancing, and animal sex. BMXXXX just feels stiff and bad. Anytime you have a mission that involves you moving somewhere drastically across the map, you don't even get to see where you have to go. There's no arrow pointing anywhere, it's just like, okay, go find a bunch of hookers, but it doesn't tell you where these hookers are hooking, so you have to explore, which is fine in most games, but with the tight time limits, you're gonna have to redo these missions over and over, which kind of sucks. This is the way it is for every mission in the game. You get a vague description of what to do, and then it's like, good luck. You can find bike parts in the map to get new rides and stat upgrades, but beyond that, it feels rather bland in comparison to its predecessors or even competition. You'd think boobs would sell to a mindless audience, but I think the negative press and everything made BMXXXX deflate on arrival because it sold super poorly in comparison, promptly ending the franchise as a whole. Also that M rating and boobs. Parents don't want their kids playing with boobs.
Alrighty, we got one more game to talk about today, and initially I was gonna skip out on this one because it's essentially a reskin, but I gotta talk about this one because Disney Extreme Skate Adventure has got some stuff, man.
Releasing in September of 2003, Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, not to be confused with Disney Sports Skateboarding, which was also made by Konami. Another time. Yeah, Extreme Skate Adventure is the exact opposite of BMXXXX. Rather than busty bosoms flopping about, we got a myriad of late 90s and early 2000s Disney characters flopping about on a skateboard, or a piece of wood, or just flying. And don't forget the kid-friendly pop punk. You know, for some reason, the intro videos for every game in this video is like basically the same thing. Here's a bunch of people wiping out or doing sick tricks. But in the Disney one, it's like some contest that they held in order to be in the game. So there's kids bailing and then playing video games while some grating Simple Plan songs going off. This is hands down the mainstreamification of what was once considered a hooligan thing. Probably the purest example of seeing something that you wish you didn't, like Ric Flair's YouTube channel. Disney Extreme Skate Adventure takes us on a journey representing, for some reason, only 3 Disney franchises. I guess the mouse was too expensive, or maybe Konami snagged it already, but all we got here is Toy Story, Tarzan, and Lion King. It's weird though, because all of the Tarzan characters are like baby versions of themselves, but Clayton's still a grown-ass man, which is kinda creepy. Now's probably a good time to mention that Disney Extreme Skate Adventure was developed by none other than Toys for Bob. Some of you might recognize them as the Skylanders and Spyro and Crash remake dudes, but I will remember them for this.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole!
Considering this was published by Activision, Skate Adventure actually runs on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 engine. Now, I'll always be fond of 2, but starting with 4, the Tony Hawk games really found their groove. Keeping this in mind, I mean, this weird licensed game is actually pretty solid. However, it is extremely dumbed down and easy by comparison to the flagship games. Adventure's like the Tony Hawk gateway drug they passed out to kids in an attempt to get them to buy the big boy games. By easier, I mean like the control scheme is dumbed down. Manualing is as simple as pressing a single button as opposed to flipping your analog stick. You're probably never gonna drop a grind, and any point challenge can be done in like 20 seconds by spamming it. If you're a seasoned pro skater, then you'll just breeze through this no problem.
Considering this was made on the Pro Skater engine, Toys for Bob decided to also give us character creation, but they probably did not expect that some idiot grown-ass man would be playing it 16 years later.
Yo, I didn't know Rocket Power was here. Yeah, for some reason, you can alter the axis width, depth, and length of like every part of your body, leading to some monstrosities. Like, I'm just straight bursting through my Guy Fieri looking ass shirt here. Oh God, I've been given too much power. This is weird. Some about the theming here is not right.
I'm sure you've noticed, but every game we've covered in this video has had some kind of integration from a brand or a sponsor, be it Vans or whatever. I guess you needed those extra bucks in order to make it happen. So, what kind of sponsors are we gonna find in the Disney game?
I would hope none, especially considering you're trekking around Disney worlds. But when you make your OC, you get to skate around a hub world. You pop in and immediately you're greeted with these big ass McDonald's and Nokia signs. Oh God. But wait, it doesn't end there. We got a whole ass McDonald's. But wait, it doesn't end there either. What if I told you you have a McDonald's mission?
Hi, thanks for coming to McDonald's.
Ah yes, deliver the double cheeseburger. Sure, whatever. That's fine. Let's just make kids literally run food to strange old men dressed up as pirates, while the food items are covering a majority of the screen. And it somehow still gets worse. When you beat the mission, you unlock the Ronald McDonald shoes for character customization, which take up the entire screen. Yay, branding! There's also a Nokia mission. Yeah, one brand mission isn't enough. This time we have to...
Hey there, kid. I just need somewhere to find me 4 ringtones for my new Nokia 5100 mobile phone and bring them back to me.
My daughter just gave me a new mobile phone for Christmas. Not sure if I know how to use it yet, but I can do this.
Yeah, no, that's fine, sure. I'm not sure why you're trying to market a phone to, like, the 4-year-old kids who are gonna play this. And me.
When you get all of the Nokia ringtones, they stand in a circle and do this weird interpretive dance to the song, like a weird satanic summoning ritual. I feel like Disney, Activision, and McDonald's is the most American trifecta of corporations in existence. Good old Finnish Nokia sits in the corner, ready to be sacrificed in order to bring about a video game with so much brand incorporation, yet lacking the budget for any of the original voice actors.
To infinity and beyond!
Yeah, no, I'm out.
Damn it, I want a burger.
Yo, thanks for watching. Special Patreon shout out to Alfredo Ariano, Chase Scott, Christopher Olivia, Flaming Fighter, Irrational, Jay Roos, Jackets, Jacoby Fitzpatrick, Calvin Wong, Legend Gary, Nitron, Plasma Phoenix, Ronnie Vile, Shintaro, and Superfly1787. Thank you very much for your generous donations. I made a quick video. I know I said I was gonna be doing a Kingdom Hearts 3 video, but now that there's a bunch of DLC, I'm gonna wait. It'll be fine. Yo, God Hand next week though. Okay, bye.